New research suggests that worrying about how much money you're bringing home from work is costing some employees more than 2 work weeks a year in productivity. Wow. We talked to Holly Signorelli, the money therapist and CPA, about how to find that perfect balance between work and the money you're bringing home. Well, this research is interesting. It shows that 75% of Americans are experiencing financial stress, and it's taking a toll not only on their health, but also their productivity at work. What did you take away from some of this research?
Well, this is what I've been talking about for a long time now, because in my practice, and I've done this for 26 years, in the last few years, I saw all these patterns that where people, they just can never have enough money. And it's not always because of greed. It's a lot of times just this feeling that there is no security anymore. So no matter how well they do in their business, they'll say, oh, I'm not going to be able to do this again. And you can just see that like 85% of the country is, distraught even talking about money. I just left a speaking engagement, and everyone there they were realtors, and they were saying that they'll talk about anything. They'll talk about their sex lives on social media, but they will not talk about money, and that is why people are stressed about it, because they're not talking about it.
That's a very scary thing, especially since we're not in 2009 anymore. This is supposed to be a pretty good time to be an American, right? When it comes to being out there in the workforce. So, what is it? Just a burnout factor right now for everybody, and everybody's just pushing for that dollar, or what exactly is causing this angst?
It's more of an instability factor, because over the last 20 years we've had 3 really big market crashes. They were all different, like 9/11 versus the 2008 housing situation. But because they were all different, nobody feels safe anymore. So it's the feeling that you're not safe, or that you're never going to have enough money because you don't know if the bottom's going to fall out. I mean, people did lose their entire retirements. There's been a lot of con artists out there. So there's a reason to be concerned, but when you let your emotions get the best of you, they turn into depression. And what this article is talking about is the side effects of depression are you're not going to be fully present when you're working, because your mind is, in that continuous loop of just spinning, trying to figure out solutions rather than focusing on your job. Or you may take more days off because you're not feeling good, even though you're not really sick, but just because you are, feeling depressed.
I remember everybody saying back during the economic downturn in 2008, 2009, 2010 or so that it was going to be a few years before we actually really started feeling. I mean, the financial part of it was going to kick in right away, and we'd start seeing it in our bank accounts. But the emotional, lasting effects of the economic downturn definitely still around here. So what advice do you have, Holly, for that average Mr. or Mrs. Smith out there working the average 9-to-5 job when it comes to finding that balance between their work happiness and their finances?
People really need to have balance with their schedule, and people feel like if I work hard all the time, I'm going to make more money. But sometimes you actually make less money because you're not fully present. You know how people are with emails nowadays. They barely answer them, and their email box is full, and they're stressed out. They're not responding. They're not present. So people have to realize that, yes, we've had some difficult times in the last 20 years, but we always come through. So instead of being afraid of the next time it goes down again, why not just save more and get your debts paid off? Because a lot of people are making really good money now, but they're spending it instead of saving it and paying off debts so that they can protect themselves if we do have another crash. Instead, they're just assuming it's going to happen again, and then they're living in that's a painful way to live in fear of something that you don't even know is going to happen.
Oh, scary stuff. Again, with us here in the afternoon news wrap is Holly Signorelli. She's a CPA, and she's also the money therapist. On the other side of this coin, Holly, for those employers out there that are reading this research and see how much money is lost when it comes to productivity by their employees, they got to be pulling their hair out by looking at this. What can they do to reverse this trend and to help out their employees?
That's a great idea, a great question, because as long as I've had employees, I've really engaged with my employees. And sometimes employers are afraid to do that, but you don't have to cross a certain line. But your employees do need to feel like you care about them. And if you authentically care about them and you share your visions for your own company, then your employees will want to be there, and they will want to make you look good and your company look good. And if you can tell that one of your employees is feeling bad, there is an appropriate way to pull somebody aside and say, hey, what's going on? What can I do to help you? And maybe you're not a counselor, but you can send them to the right person or, assist in some way, because it is going to affect their productivity. And hopefully you do care about that person as well. And because there's too many people that are experiencing this kind of depression, so you can't just fire somebody because they're depressed. I mean, you can work through it, and then you'll have an even better employee than you had before.
Well, it's definitely a difficult balancing act to have to find, whether you're an employer or an employee, and that's being happy at work and also making the money that you need to get by. Holly Signorelli, thank you so much for your insight on this as always. We hope to talk to you again here real soon.
All right, you have a good one.